So by now it must be obvious to you that cell phone radiation can be harmful to your health. So we've developed a small disc that you can put on the back of your cell phone to change the harmful waves into nice, gentle harmonic waves that we're going to offer to you for free at the end of this video. But first, let's have a look at some of the studies and the science behind the bioarc disc. The bioarc disc was developed by Thomas Brown, who you might remember from the 5G Apocalypse movie by Sasha Stone. Here is some of his presentation in that film.
Well, one thing is just our regular Wi-Fi, 2.4 gigahertz. That's in the same range as microwave ovens, which are also called radar ranges, because that is radar. 2.4 gigahertz is interesting. It's not the peak absorption rate in water for microwave frequencies, but it's at a point where it allows full penetration, because if it came in at the peak, it would prevent the insides from getting warm. So that's with basic Wi-Fi. Now when we look at 5G, 60 gigahertz, this is what they call active dispersal sort of weaponry, just to keep people back. It burns the skin. It doesn't penetrate, but 60 gigahertz is the frequency of oxygen molecule absorption. Since they have electrons that they share with each other, what we breathe is actually O2, pair of oxygen. So being bombarded with 60 gigahertz could very well impair our oxygen absorption rates in our body, and thereby the whole basis of our living system. Martin Pall says, putting tens of millions of 5G antennas without a single biological test of safety has to be about the stupidest idea anyone has had in the history of the world. So assessing all this, we have experts in various fields: military EMF weaponry, biological effects on humans, firefighters that are getting cognitive impairment by being there in them, countries that are banning these sort of technologies around schools because of the impairment to cognitive. Let's weigh that up in light of what Rudolf Steiner said in 1924 about just mere radio causing the impairment of cognitive functions on people, that they can receive news from around the world, but they can't understand it as well because of the effect of the electricity. We have to say, something smells sinister here.
The bioarc antenna works on the golden mean ratio, which is fundamental to all things in life, plants, animals, and minerals. Each one of the concentric circles are based on the exact ratio, getting smaller and smaller according to the golden mean ratio. As the frequencies come in, it harmonizes those frequencies and smooths out those waveforms. The jagged frequencies from your cell phone are smoothed out by this golden mean ratio on an energetic form so that your cells don't react negatively to these microwave signals. On the left side, you're seeing the person just holding the hand phone, and we'll go through each one of the different levels, the brain waves and the harmonization level, the biological age and the meridians and chakras, etc. On the right side, we'll go through the same thing, but it has the bioarc disc between the cell phone and the case, so when he's holding it in his hand, then there's a buffer, and it's a harmonization of those frequencies. So let's just have a look. So before, the vegetative balance index, which is basically the autonomic nervous system, it's pretty good. So here's the baseline. It's in the normal level, so it's not terrible. The person's holding up pretty well with the cell phone. But look what happened on the right with the bioarc disc. It went up a whole level to stabilizing that vegetative balance. So we'll go through each one of these different levels. The stress index went way down from 119 down to 73. And the heart rhythm also improved. It went from 0.23 to 0.35, which is an improvement. Ideal state would be somewhere in the, yeah, that's pretty good. It's already in the green. 0.5 would be even a little bit better, but that's really good. The neurohormonal regulation index, this is amazing. It went from normal basically up into the top end. The energy resources, you can see, went from a good range, normal, but went into really full-on power. super awesome. Brain waves went from the psycho-emotional state, went into very high up, all the way up into the maximum state of balance, from a state of, well, basically between accumulated tiredness and balance state, so it's kind of in between there. But with that disc, it was just going off the charts. This I found very interesting because the biological age was actually 1 year older than the person actually was without the disc, just holding the hand phone. But as soon as we had the bioarc disc in there, it went from 33, which was the actual age, down to 27 on the biological side, and the level of harmonization went way up from 56 to 94. It's just an overall look. 61% health state up to 94% health state with the disc. Biorhythms are way up off the chart here, looking really good. There's a little dip at 12 and a little dip at 6 p.m., but that's good, not a big deal. The overall spine alignment, this looks much better. It went from yellow and green, which is, again, green is pretty good, in good condition. Yellow is in satisfactory condition, but went all the way up into the excellent condition, except at the very bottom here in the lower sacrum, where it was in the very good. And here's the picture of the aura. The aura just got much stronger and brighter comparatively to the cell phone without the disc. And this was the same phone. Chakras went way up across the board, almost balanced everything out, looking really good. And here we have the meridians. Most of them were in pretty good shape, holding up, but there were a couple of them that were not holding up, the heart meridian and spleen, but everything came up into balance here on both sides. So the bioarc disc is your first defense shield you can use on your phone. Now, of course, if it's not just cell phones, you've also got Wi-Fi coming in, you've got smart meters, 5G is going to be everywhere pretty soon. But this is at least the first step of protection, is to get a bioarc shield, which we're going to be offering to you for free in the next offer. Before we get into our free special, I wanted to show you what happens before without any cell phone and then holding a cell phone. And I'll just go through them quickly now that you kind of know what things look like. But here in the total power, it went from 1615 down to 1270 by holding a cell phone. And the vegetative balance index went up, which means it got worse. It went up one whole level from stable down to normal. So it's still in the normal range on this particular person. But a lot of things happened in here. Stress index went up, went from 98 to 143. The energy resources went from 133 down to 119. Brain waves decreased from 45, which was already pretty bad, but down to 35. I thought this was very interesting. The biological age went to 45 years old. He got older by 2 years just by holding the cell phone. Overall health index went from 48 to 41%, and this is just holding it for a couple of minutes. The biorhythms went from here and swooped down into here on almost every level. The spine took a dive. It was in pretty good shape all along here. It was low here and low here, but here it just dropped it all into the low zone. Or you can't see too much difference, but it went down from 48% to 41%, and the chakras also went down pretty much. Not all of them, but certainly the crown chakra went down and the heart chakra went down. Here we see most all the different meridians were dropping. Not every single one of them, but some of them even went up a little bit by holding the cell phone. But in general, there was a drop in the meridians. So now let's have a look at what happens when we put a bioarc disc on the back of the case or the phone, between the phone and the case. On the left is holding the cell phone, and on the right with the bioarc disc. Here we've gone up one whole level on the vegetative balance, and here on the left the total power really balanced out. This is actually in the ideal state. relatively balanced system. Stress index went back down to 116 from 143. Here, look at the neurohumoral regulation index. It went from 38 in the red zone up to green into the 64. It went up into the normal regulation zone. Energy resources went up quite a lot. Brainwaves improved. Look at this. Very nice, into the balanced state. Now this is holding a phone. This is great. Look, 45 years old holding the cell phone. On the biological age it dropped to 39, which is still 1 year older than he actually was, but he's holding a cell phone. Overall vegetative regulation index and all the different indexes balanced out very nicely. The health state went from 41% to 61%. The biorhythms took a nice jump up. Look at the spine. It went a lot into the green zone. There's still a little bit of satisfactory but a little bit of energy impediment here in the spine. Aura got a lot brighter. Chakras improved pretty much across the board, all the way across the board. Chakras went up. And the meridians, not all of them are in the green, but most of them went into the green zone. Looking very good. Now for the very ideal state, this is with the bioarc disc and a CHIO at the same time. And from here, holding the cell phone went all the way up into the optimal vegetative balance. Stress index went way down into 40. Neurohumoral regulation index went up into the top level. Energy resources. Wow, look at that energy. Lots of energy available. Brain waves went up into the top end. Biological age dropped to 29 years old. So biologically, it went way down. He's 38 years old physically, dropped down to 29 years old. Very nice pattern of all the different functional states. Health went from 41% to 98%. And here we have the biorhythms going up all the way up to the top. Spine straightened right out into the very top level. Excellent condition. Aura is beaming, 98%. Chakras are almost all the way pumped up, looking really good. And all the meridians are back in the green. So obviously the best would be to use the bioarc disc between your phone and your case so that you've always got your phone radiation being harmonized, but then also use the Qi organizer to balance everything else out coming from Wi-Fi and smart meters and your neighbor's phone that's not protected and everything else. So we're going to now give you that special offer where you can get this bioarc disc for free just for the price of shipping.